Welcome into another show of our preseason series, College Fantasy Football Influencers. Next up is Josh Chevalier. Josh is someone I had the pleasure of meeting up with not that long ago. He was in town in New Orleans, and we met up and had some beignets, shared some stories, and really got a chance to get to know one another outside of college fantasy football, which is always nice to do whenever you can get a chance to catch up with these guys in your personal life. And when you correspond and talk to them so much about college fantasy football, as I have with Josh over the last couple of years, it's always nice to kind of get to know the personality and to know the person behind their Twitter handle. That's what these shows are designed to do. I can't wait to for you guys to see this show. I really enjoyed having Josh on, and it's an opportunity for you guys to put a face with the name and really get to know the personality behind Josh and what he brings to the table. You can find Josh on Twitter at CFF Guys. Really pleasure to have him in. And, he proceeded to tell me after the show that he had a Yeti microphone. And I was like, man, where's that sucker been? You should have broke that out a long time ago. And I asked him if he got relegated and was punished in a closet. So I had fun with this one. We got to talk some college fantasy football, and we took aim at other college fantasy football industry influencers. Had fun with this one. So let's get right into it. Here's Josh. I want to welcome in Josh Chevalier. Josh, welcome in, man. This is another chance to kind of, for people to kind of get to know a lot of the industry influencers, and it's nice to host you guys one-on-one. We were thinking about doing a roundtable where we just have a Royal Rumble, but I was like, shit, with the group of guys we have, nobody's going to be able to get a word in once one guy starts talking, especially Froton, man. That guy can go on forever, right? And so I just wanted to kind of have you in, man. Thanks for joining us. You've always been a part of our drafts. You were in the 4 we hosted last year. You were in the 4, and unfortunately, those didn't get a chance to play out with the way that COVID affected the season and changed the schedules and the conferences that participated. But this year, we've got a chance to redo it. So we hit the reset button. We recalibrated. We got the drafts in. We're going to let them play out this year. So first of all, welcome in, man. Let me just say, people can find you on Twitter at CFF Guys, right? And you're always tweeting about college fantasy football stuff. Is there anything else that you're working on? Anything that you want to mention that I left out that you just want to throw on top of there, man?
Yeah. I also write DFS for college fantasy for Fantasy Points. And so that's kind of another side gig I got. Used to write with Mike Bainbridge, but somebody stole him. And now I gotta find work other places, man. So
yeah, well, Mike does that to people, right? Now,
unbelievable.
We're gonna have plenty time to make fun of Mike and make fun of the rest of the guys. So that's great. Go check out Josh's work. He's really wired into college fantasy football, has some great opinions, and he's always on the spot with a lot of his analysis and the players, and a very solid drafter over the years. So I've been knowing him for quite some time, and develop a friendship with the guy. And he was in New Orleans not that long ago. We sat down and had some beignets together, man. How about that?
Sir. Oh my gosh, incredible. The beignets, the cafe au lait, man, like can't be Cafe du Monde in my opinion.
Yeah, that's it, man. That was just gold. So no, it was nice to do that. It's whenever we have a chance, that's the one thing about this group. Everyone's scattered all across the country. So whenever you're in someone's neck of the woods, if you don't reach out to him, then we might just ban you and exclude you from the group forever. So you probably did that. If I'd known you were down here and you wouldn't have reached out, I might have had to kick you out of the draft.
Well, I'm glad I reached out then.
Hey man, hey Josh, look, here's the deal, man. You've been in a lot of drafts. You're in the leagues that we have going on. Take a couple of minutes to share with you what you found are some of the development trends that have been, or some of your biggest takeaways up until this point. We're in the first full week of August right now. What are your biggest takeaways from all of the drafts that you've participated in thus far throughout the spring and summer, man?
Yeah, I think after last year, not really getting to play much, I've gone a little overboard this year. So I think I've done 20 drafts so far, like either best balls or redraft or dynasty. And I think the biggest trends that I've seen are that just running back is so incredibly deep with the COVID year and all that. And so a lot of guys coming back. It just feels like you can find great running backs as late as like the 15th round. So I've been sitting on a lot of running backs and trying to go wide receiver and QBs early, and then just kind of letting the running backs fall.
Yeah, it's funny. We learn each other's tendencies because we draft so often together that
Yeah.
it seems to be a common theme. Deep running back, go early after your quarterback, particularly if you're in a 2-quarterback league, and then
Yep.
play value at receiver. And that seems to be the way. Seems to be the where most guys are at that we draft with, and you would recognize that from some of the trends in our best ball drafts themselves, wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I think it's fun too to go look at the early like March, April drafts, even some of the mocks that Mike and you guys are putting out, and to see how many more wide receivers go early now than even they did back then. So it's fun to see. I mean, I think we all kind of catch on and learn from one another, but it's fun to see those trends and kind of see things even out over time.
So here's a good question. In all the drafts you've mentioned that you're in, who's the player that you need to have a big year? Who you most invested in? Who's the guy that you seem to have a high share of that you really need to have a big year? It would really make a difference on a lot of your rosters.
Yeah, I would say number one for me is Rashad White out of Arizona State. I just think he keeps falling so far, and so he's one for me that I'm big on this year.
Any other ones beside White?
Well, I think so. This won't happen anymore now, but I was getting a lot of Max Johnson in like kind of the 15th round on, and then pairing him with Miles Brennan. So like, man, one of those guys I think is going to hit. And so now that Miles Brennan is unfortunately injured, I got a ton of Max Johnson.
Well, that's interesting. That's the great part about going early with these best ball drafts, right? I mean, we can draft where we value guys as we get a little bit closer to the season and news starts coming in of maybe injuries and whatnot. There tends to be, not so much of an edge when it comes to drafting the later you get closer to the season, right? So, I asked you about heavy investment. Here's a fun question. And I'll tee it up with, we're not talking about injury. We don't want to wish injury on anyone, but what would be a fun flop for you? What player out there would be fun to see flop this year based on maybe the talk that's gone on, the hype he's given? Who would be a fun flop or two?
Yeah. I mean, it would hurt me personally, but I would love to see like Cole Turner just flop, just because like CFP Winning Edge has been like touting him so much, and so just to see him just like tank, or Elijah Cooks take off and just hurt his value just a little bit, that would just be a lot of fun, because I think we would get a long mileage out of just ribbing
if
Nick
Cole Turner flops, Nick may remove himself from the group.
He might have to,
but then again, if he hits, he's got a year's worth of material.
I mean, that's true, since he's drafted them 3 rounds before any of the rest of us are drafting tight ends. Absolutely.
So I think you gave us this number a little while ago about approximately how many drafts you're in. 20?
Yeah.
Money leagues?
Yep.
All money. How many are you going to win?
Oh, 20, man.
I love the confidence. I love that. I love it. I guess so. Man, look, if I win 5, I'll be happy, right? You like, I'm winning 20.
Hey, here's the deal. Here's the truth.
I love it, man.
19. I win 19 because I drafted a DTR in one of them, and I'm just feeling horrible about it ever since. It was one of our like best balls.
Well, 19 out of 20. I mean, look, you're still batting 95%, Josh.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to fault you.
Irrational.
Hit 95. You hit 95%, my man. You're going to be on the other side of this microphone, and I'm going to be sitting. Where are you? Are you in a bathroom, or you're in a closet? I'm dying to know what's behind that door over there.
I am. This is my closet door.
Okay.
And my bedroom. So every other, I have kids all throughout the house, and so
I was waiting for either a kid or some guy in a mask costume to just completely sabotage this video show and come through that door.
Yeah. Well, we almost had we got a baby that's probably gonna move here in a few days. So I almost had a crib in the background here, so you would have that. But
gotcha. All right. Well, we'll let you off the hook on that one. I'm not going to ask you to show me I'm not going to ask you to show me the closet. I don't want to see a bunch of dirty clothes anywhere. Hey man, here's something that's fun. When you think about all the drafts that you do year in and year out, and how long you've been playing college fantasy football, I think this is always fun to share, because sometimes these moments come up and relive themselves when we're drafting in some of our leagues. But what are some things that owners do or guys do in drafts that you're in that just irk the shit out of you? That just like really their pet peeves of you. Like how could like how oh not this again. What is a pet peeve
Yeah,
of yours in drafts?
man, it just happened today, and I think this is a common theme for our drafts. Like we all like require solo drafts, but we hate solo drafts at the same time. So I hate when Kyle Francis and I and dude Greg, like we always try to compete for the fastest time. So when dudes like get in the room, like you see the green light and then they get out of the room and they come back, or the green light's just sitting there for like an hour and a half, but they clearly got on and were checking something. Like huge pet peeve. And so you're just taking forever on the clock. Like you're deciding in the moment versus knowing what you're doing before you get in the room.
Yeah, you know what? You
Huge
make a
pet peeve.
good point because I don't, we do our slow drafts and our slow drafts are slow in theory because we do 2-hour timers because first of all, we'd never do 4 because that would be too painful. And then if you average more than 20 minutes per pick, your ass is getting jumped in our thread, right? And so most of the guys average less than 10 minutes per pick, but I couldn't agree with you more. There's nothing more annoying in a slow draft than when I think for me is when you're in the draft room and the guy before you is getting sort of DM'd and he's getting the message, he gives the thumb up and you're waiting for the green dot and he never shows up in the draft room. And it's like, you're waiting to make the pick so you can go off and kind of do something else for another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden it's like, man, you don't even have anybody left in your queue. Like you have to have 3 players in your queue at this point of the draft. Right.
Right. Or it's the dude that like, he's like next on the clock, but he doesn't set the auto at night. Like when the clock, like, hey man, if you're going to bed, like cool, no problem. Just set auto. You got to have 3 people in your queue that you can just line up and then go to sleep. But
that's a good point there. So here's the deal. I think I know where this one's going based on one of your earlier answers. I don't like to use the term college fantasy football expert, but it is a term that gets thrown out, and I actually make fun of it quite a bit. But as a quote unquote college fantasy football expert, industry influencer, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How good are you, Josh?
How good am I at CFF?
Yeah. How good are you on a scale of 1 to 10 of being an industry leader in college fantasy football? Give yourself a rating 1 to 10. I want to see where you grade yourself.
I mean, look, I'll give myself an 8. Okay. I would say an 8 on playing the game, but I'm not that great of an analyst, I would say, as far as getting information out.
Well, you don't have to be an analyst, but it could be just winning leagues and knowing your information, right? It's just like, hey, how great are you? I just want to know. I'm curious. I love this because it tells us, I'm going to use this again. I've already used it once before, but I think the best answer I've gotten for this question so far has been John Lobb. He said, listen, man, I'm modest. I don't really like to talk about myself much, so I'd give myself an 8. And I think, like, if you're 8, you're pretty bragging how good you are, right? But him to say he was like, I'm modest, I'm 8, I'm like, damn. I hate to see what he would say if he was really, really bragging about himself. He'd probably be a 10.5 out of 10, right? So anyway, it's just fun, man. I just like to play around with it, give you guys shit, and so I think it's a fun little answer. Sure. But now we're going to kind of get into a little bit of the fun part of this video here. Obviously with you being in all 4 leagues, we're going to go ahead and do a point system and do a side pot. And then that way, the guy that's kind of had the best 4 leagues together will win that pot right now.
Yeah.
Whether or not you win it, according to your numbers, you have a 95% chance. But anyway, if you don't win that league, Josh, if you don't win that total gauntlet league, as long as you beat one guy, that's all that really matters. Who is it that you want to make sure that you beat, man?
I mean, it's got to be Mike Bainbridge. Just because I text that man more than I text my wife. So I feel like if I beat Mike, it's a good year because we just
that's fair enough. And so here's another good question now. When you think about our drafts and you think about how much you text some of the guys and how much we put into that draft room and how much we try to piss one another off or we're riding each other's ass about drafting, Who's the most annoying guy in the group, and why?
Oh man,
Yes. Come
man,
on.
Matt.
You've got one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're thick skinned, and if not, they're
Look,
not going
man.
to be in the group.
Everybody's great, but one of the things that I think is really funny is that I think all of us, to a certain extent, are smartest guy in the room guys. Like we all think we know our stuff, but then some people act like they're not that. And I think Nick kind of he knows he's smart. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, but he acts like he tries to use self-deprecation in a way that acts like he doesn't think he's the smartest guy in the room. So I would say just for that, like just for like kind of being fake in that way, I would say that Nick's the most annoying.
Fair enough. There you go. Shots fired, Nick. I can't wait till everybody watches this. This is great. This is going to make everybody really, really ramp up their games next year. When we kind of get this going, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So here's a good one. We're gonna end on this. This is the last question I have for you. You get a night out with the guys, right? You get a night out with the guys. And you can take 3 guys from our group with you. You can only take 3. Who are you taking? Where are you going? And what are you doing?
Oh, where am I going? And that's a great question. I'm pretty chill dude. So I'm probably going like in Austin, we got a bunch of, micro breweries or, kind of brew coffee shop type stuff. So I'm probably just going to my favorite one, Cherrywood Coffee House here in town. And
that's good. Who you bringing with you, man, to shoot the shit? Who's going?
Yeah, Kyle Francis. That dude's funny as hell. So I think he just can tell some funny stories. And then I would probably say Eric Froton, because that dude's pretty funny as well. And probably Mike Bainbridge.
There you go. I wouldn't take you either, Josh. So no.
Yeah, Joe.
No,
we had our time together. It was great.
That's a fun group. I feel like you'd get some really slapstick comedy and really timely tidbits from Kyle. Froton, you'd have stories beyond belief. And I think Bainbridge, you'd get some quality conversation out of him until he's probably 12 beers in, and then you may be calling for one of his tag team partners to come in.
Dude, he moved by a lake and he's just MIA on the weekends. I think he's just drunk like Friday to Sunday.
Complete MIA. He talks about how his lack of tan. He just needs to spend more time on the lake. So there you go, Bainbridge. Get out there on the lake a little bit more while this weather's still hot, man, and work on that tan and stop complaining to me about you're not looking tan enough.
I know, man. You got 3 weeks left before the season starts. No more lake after that.
That's it, man. Hey, look, Josh, I can't thank you enough. Take a minute, put a bow on it. Is there anything else that you want to say? Anything about the drafts? Anything about what you have going on? I'm going to kind of give you the floor here to kind of wrap things up. That's really it. We've kind of kept it light, fun, and really accomplished everything what I wanted to do, and that is let everybody kind of see who Josh was, and they see our names up on these draft sheets, but they never necessarily put a face and, more importantly, maybe a personality behind the name. Man, can you add anything here before we close some stuff out?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything grand to add. I'm just super excited about the season. Excited to do these best balls and to be able to talk some shit to each other kind of throughout the year, because we didn't get to do that last year. And honestly, man, like I went back and analyzed a lot of our stuff last year. I felt like I had a great squad in all 4 leagues, and so I'm ready to take the ship this year, because I think
maybe this will maybe we can do this. Maybe if you win 95% of your leagues this year, we'll take a little bit of we'll take a little bit of that money. We'll decorate those walls a little bit. We'll move you out of the wife probably has you in the closet right now, because I have a feeling that's where we'll move you out into. We'll get you a man cave, and we're going to get you a real microphone, and we're going to get you in here with some lighting next year. We're going to rock this bad mama jamma. How about
that? Dude, that'd be awesome. I got a Blue Yeti mic. I just can't use it because I got my bed right behind me. There's nowhere to put the mic.
I got you, man. Hey, look, thanks for coming in. It's always fun. I know the season's about to start up, so it's really tough to stay in touch when we kind of get going, because the season is quite a grind. You know that. And so don't be a stranger, man. And I look forward to doing this again next year. I'm sure you do as well. And it's going to be nice to kind of get the band back together again in 2022. Josh, thanks again for coming in, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Joe.
You got it.